afternoon, Flosstube. This is Gem Stitch here for my August update. Obviously, firstly, I'd like to start by thanking everybody that has subscribed to me, who comments, who's given me so much encouragement, particularly over the last month as well, where I showed you a design that I'd been designing, and you know, the outpouring, it was of encouragement and support and interest was really lovely. So I'd like to take this opportunity to thank everybody. And I'll be talking about a little bit about my plan of action to do with that at the end of this update. But this month I want to tell you about what I've been up to, and also what is my plan of action. Here we go. Plan of action for September. So firstly, I'd like to start with, and I know I'm a little bit behind with this, but what they call the WIP parade. So the idea of the WIP parade is that you go through all your current works in progress, which is what a WIP is, you know, it's a good way of, if you don't already catalogue or remember some of the projects, it's a good way of feeling enthusiastic about going back and finishing some of your projects. Now, if you've been a long-term subscriber, sufferer in the same sentence, if you've been a long-term subscriber, then you know that actually I don't have that many works in progress. This is mainly to do with the fact that I used to actually only stitch one at a time. And also I follow the Stitch Mania sales as a guide, where I focus on one piece a month. If I have a project that I can incorporate into the theme for that month that's already a work in progress, then I will do that, even if it ends up being multiple times. Hence why this then will lead me on to, I know some people think that I have loads of finishes, and it just so happens that this year, yes, I have had quite a few finishes, but it's also because it's just the way it's fallen. And that although next year it will mean that I will potentially have a lot more new starts, I probably won't have as many finishes next year, going by the rotation that I'm currently using. But to go back to the WIP parade, it's a little bit sad. Colbin, hi Colbin, was saying, oh, if people could label their videos WIP parade, that would be great. And you know, I watched Jessie Marie and Colbin's WIP parade, and they were lovely, and I enjoy everybody's WIP parade. I don't mind if you've got one or two, or whether you've got 74, or because obviously it's a good way of seeing what's out there, what sort of styles you're stitching, and also, you know, getting to know you as a stitcher as well as other designers that, you know, we don't always come across. So I really enjoyed the WIP parade, but to be honest, my contribution is going to be a little bit pathetic on that scale, because I've had so many finishes. So in some ways it's really positive, and in other ways it's like, yeah, this looks really sad. So I currently only have wait for it, 2 works in progress now. Purely because I got some finishes done this month, and therefore of some large projects, so therefore I've only actually got currently 2 works in progress that will be focus pieces until the beginning of next year now. So I'll start with my first one. It's actually, I've got it all prepped and all ready on the scroll frames that I use, because I use a Lowry, and this one's quite big, but it is, let me just, I'm going to be having to go out of shop because I've got stuff stacked up along the wall. But this is Creation by Tempting Tangles. I adore this pattern. For me, it was a lot of firsts. There was a lot of speciality stitches that I hadn't done before in this one. I say a lot, a few. And it is quite a big piece, but everyone's got their own personal style in regards to art, music, and obviously cross stitch. But every time I look at this piece, I think it, although it was cross stitched and obviously being Tempting Tangles, it would have been, it's a Deborah Dick design. It wouldn't have mattered if it had been painted, because I still would have loved it. And that's probably why I enjoy this piece so much. So I'm hoping that you'll be able to see it, because it was a bit fiddly getting it on, so I don't really want to have to take it back off again. But so this is currently where I'm at, and this is creation. So as you can see, I'm trying to balance it, it's very long. I'm at the waves down here, and this is actually tying it in. This is actually going to be my focus piece for, let's see that way, my focus piece for September, purely because it's I think the Stitch Mania sale is Now You Know Your ABCs or something, and this has got a lot of lettering in it, so I've opted for that because this was a current WIP. So it's absolutely, and it's not because I'm blowing my own trumpet, this design is beautiful, and I absolutely adore it. There is actually, this would be the equivalent of 6 sections. So if you think that the chart, which I should have pulled out and didn't, the chart is split into 9 sections in total. So if you sort of think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I've actually got another 3 sections to go. So I can't see me actually finishing this one this year, but I adore it. And yes, it's taken me a long time. I started it back in 2015, may have even been 14. But I absolutely, it's such a beautiful design. I just thoroughly enjoy working on it. It is now my oldest work in progress since I finished The Bride. So therefore, next year in Wine and Whips, it'll also be included in next year's Wine and Whips, as well as having it another month's focus piece. So it'll actually have 2 months focus piece next year. I am debating whether to actually give it 2 months focus piece this year, because in September, if you can hear my cat, I apologise. In September, I'm actually going away for a couple of weeks, me and my husband, and it's actually our wedding anniversary today, but he's at work, so it's okay, because I've not left him or abandoned him to do my Flosstube. So he doesn't watch my videos, but yes, he's an awesome person, just to let you all know. So yeah, we're just gonna, I think we're just gonna have a quiet one this evening, and because we're going away literally really soon, and then we can pick something out or do something that we both want to do, and then that's our gift to each other while we're away. So we'll do that, go for a nice meal, that sort of thing. Back to where I was starting with creation. Yes, so that's my first work in progress of my parade. Like I said, it is my focus piece for September, but I will not be taking it away with me, so because it is a big piece, and that would mean that for me to comfortably stitch it, if I get time to stitch it, because obviously we're doing lots of things and going places and things, then I basically just don't want to take it with me, which means that ultimately probably only actually get 2 weeks work on it, which I'm thinking now I will have finished what should have been a focus piece for October. I will have finished before then, which was my design, Oranges and Lemons. I may actually carry it on till October, so even then I don't think I'll get a finish. There, as you can tell from the sky, there is some parts of it that are quite heavily stitched, almost not full coverage but almost, and then you get some gaps in between. It's just, I can't express. I mean, you can get I actually bought that a long time ago from, I believe, 123 Stitch. I'm talking a long time ago. I'm not sure they still carry it, but Tempting Tangles is available on Etsy, and I know she has that design on there, as well as a smaller version as well, which is like a segment. Let There Be Light, I believe it's called, or something like that, because it's the book of Genesis. So, but yes, so I absolutely adore it. I can't express how much I love it. So I do look forward to getting to work on that. So that's my first work in progress. My second work in progress is a Christmas design. Now, I'm not going to change my plan of action. I have always said that I originally started stitching Christmas only in December, but November and December are so busy for my family that it's just not plausible for me to get a Christmas stitch in and just say, oh yes, it's been a focus piece for a month, because actually that it may have only had 3 days, but actually by the time we get past like through to December, so I extended it. So my Christmas, I always do a Christmas piece in November, December, so that does the build up. So this would be my November, December Christmas piece for this year. This is a work in progress. It's Cuore batticuore and it's Sweet Christmas. All the information I will put in the information box down below, but please do ask. I'll get back to you as soon as I possibly can with anything that you're asking. So this is currently where I'm at. Again, I should have got the picture. Really not prepared, am I? But on Cuore batticuore, you can see a little dangly thread here. So yeah, it's 6 sweet designs. So I've got another 2 to go here, and I need to finish off the border around here, and it says Sweet Christmas. I stitched this on 32 count raw silver, so it's an opalescent. I don't know whether the camera's picking that up, but it's an opalescent, but it's a silver opalescent as opposed to the normal opalescent where it's slightly multicoloured. You can also get a gold in the raw as well. But yes, so this is my Sweet Christmas by Cuore batticuore. So there's some back stitching and things to add, but I'll do that at the end because it's they're like bows and things. So I may even do lazy daisy stitches for the bows and stuff. See how I feel. So yes, this will be my November December piece. So that's that one. And there concludes my WIP parade. Purely because I actually got a lot of stuff finished this year. And as I said earlier, the reason I got a lot of stuff finished this year is because it naturally, some of them come to their conclusion. It's not that I stitch faster, it's none of those things. It's purely to do with the fact that I've been sort of following this sort of form of rotation now for the last 2 years, so some of them have sort of fallen in line. I've had some unexpected finishes this year, and others is about right, and then and so, you know, as I show you, it kind of makes sense as I go through what I've got left to show you. So it's not that I get loads of finishes done. Well, I do, and I do, I suppose in a way, when you talk about product or process, of course I enjoy the process, otherwise I wouldn't do it. But I am a product stitcher. I generally have a rough idea of where I envision that I'd like that in my house, or if I'm stitching for someone, what I'd envision that to be. And I'd like the finished article. So therefore I enjoy the process, but I suppose I am probably leaning more towards a product stitcher. I tend to stitch things because I love what the end result will be, as well as the process. I don't just stitch in the set just because it's stitching. So therefore that's probably why I do possibly have more focused finishes and things like that. So, but yeah, so let's move on to the finishes that I had this month. So I have been doing the Primitive Hare, the little Sabbath cushions. I've been turning them into little pocket pillows, and my last one was this month, so it's for Halloween. So I have actually got that finished, so this would have been my little project, because I'd like to have a little finish once a month. That's why I did Stitch Mania. The idea, I did Stitch Mania in May, that was the first time that I did it, and I had 12 allocations, which will take me to May next year, in the hope that within them 12 I will have a finish. I will try and get a finish done. This isn't fully finished obviously, but I'll try and get a finish done to add extra little ornament sizes to my table and displays. So this is actually the last one. So this is by the Primitive Hare, and you can find it on her blog spot. I will put that information down below. Yeah, and this is on 32 count, and this is a hand die by me. So it's only a small piece, but yeah, so I'll be turning it into one of those cushions with a little pocket, and it's the last one. There was 8 in total, so now I have one to put at least one ornament that will cover me the whole of the year. So or like one for each season or one for each festival. So this one will go on the 31st of October and will last to the 21st of December, and then I'll put the Yule one on, which I finished earlier this year. So yeah, so I got that finished, and then I was really happy I got Sleepy Hollow finished. For those of you that are on Stitch Mania or follow me on Instagram, you would most likely have seen this. I did actually manage to finish it. I haven't fully finished it yet. I have 2 options that I'm swaying between, whether I frame it or whether I actually turn it into a wall hanging. And my plan of action is, where we're visiting and where we're going on holiday, we are going to do a bit of antiquing. Is that the word that's being used? Or that sort of thing. Go round to some unusual shops and things. If I find a frame, because I write anything that I haven't finished, I always write the measurements and on my phone, and I carry them around with me, because you never know what you're going to find. And so for that reason, if I find anything, a frame that I think, oh, Sleepy Hollow would look fabulous in that, then I will frame it. If I don't, then I will turn it into a wall hanging. They're my options, because I like the idea of both, so I'm kind of leaving it to fate to decide for me. But here it is. Here is a Glendon Place Sleepy Hollow. I have made some changes. Firstly, obviously, probably most noticeably, is the fabric choice. It is charted for Picture This Plus in Haunted in 28 cashel. I stitched it in 28 cashel linen, but it is Winter Skies by Sparklies, and I chose an opalescent, and I love the colourway of this fabric. It's beautiful, and I'm pleased I picked an opalescent as well. I think it's quite cartoony and in its design, and I think it just gives it that sort of sparkle, which maybe sometimes primitive patterns it doesn't always suit. So I'm really pleased with that. I stitched the moon. I have tried to take pictures of this thread glowing in the dark, but my camera refuses to acknowledge, because it's an illuminescent, it's not a light. So otherwise all you're seeing is just black black. You can't see anything. If by chance the light catches it in some way where you can really see it glow, then I will take a picture. It does glow. There are other options. This is a DMC glow in the dark thread. I'm happy with it and I really like it. I know some people prefer the Krennic, and I believe Petite Treasure Braid also do a glow in the dark thread, which you might want to consider. But I was really happy with this one, so I'm happy with the result. You can kind of see it's got a glow to it now. It's not glowing, but that it's really, compared to white, the white up here compared to this is it's got like a weird glow to it, and that's kind of how it comes up on pictures. So I haven't been able to take a picture of it properly, or just glowing in the dark. But it's only the moon, that I've stitched in the glow in the dark, which I swapped out instead of the Karen water lilies that it calls for. And then you've got the saying underneath. So you may have noticed from the pattern I've recharted it. It is the pattern design is a Glendon Place, and it is by Cheryl Grander, I believe. And these words and this poem is hers. I didn't change the wording. The only thing I've changed is the font. So this is all her design. It was just literally that I've got font issues, if I'm completely honest about it. And it's not that I did like hers, her design. It was very jagged and very Halloweeny, so it totally fit. But for me, this suits my aesthetic better in my house, so and my personal aesthetic. So I just recharted it. But it says, "In a grave lies the horseman. His head is at his side. Be brave enough to take it, and again by night he will ride." So, and it has lots of beads in the border. You've got the spider webs there too. So yes, as expected, I think the beads took me about 2 or 3 stitching sessions to actually get finished. I expected that the beading would do that, because you know what it's like. You think, oh, I've only got beads left, and they take you a lot longer than you expect them to. So they're my finishes. Obviously not fully finished, but they're my finishes for this month. Hence why Sleepy Hollow is no longer in my WIP parade, because it's no longer a work in progress. It is actually finished. FFOs, sorry, I have to have the computer on, but it's because the lights terrible again. FFOs for this month. I've got 1 FFO and 1 nearly there. I'm showing you it partially assembled because I've got to take it apart again. So I'll show you the one that I haven't really finished and explain to you why. So this is my restoration sampler. It's quite a nice fit. This is a thrift store find. I painted the reason it's not fully finished is that I need to lace it at the back. It's pinned but not laced. And I really did think about, well, how would I finish it? I could have finished it as for a wall hanging. That would have been appropriate for the 17th century. But I was looking at frames, and obviously there's that very Baroque style with the heavy gold, antique golding. You've also got a lot of frames with all the painted work around. I didn't have time to do that. Maybe another time, but not right now. And I just felt that I didn't want to put this in like a heavy gold frame. So the other option is that they used black frames with just a gold edging here. Hence why this isn't finished, because I've got to add the gold edging here, which I can do easily enough. But therefore I've assembled it so that you'll see kind of what it will look like, but it's not actually finished. And then I'll put a back on it. So yeah, that's my restoration sampler. Now, in regards to explaining how many finishes, this was a new start this year for the History in Stitches sale. And then I also used it for the Patriotic sale. Now when you look at it, and everyone has different amount of stitching time, but remember I use one piece as a focus piece, so for that whole month. And when you look at it, I think 2 months is probably about right, you know, unless you went away, or that's probably about right for a piece this size, when you think if that's the only thing you're focusing on for 2 months. So it's not that I necessarily stitch really fast or anything like that. It's just because I choose to have a focus piece monthly, it generally means I get a lot more progress done on that piece, as opposed to sort of rotating it out after a couple of days or whatever people choose to do. But it's each to their own. This works for me, which is why I'm continuing to do it. If it didn't work for me, or it no longer starts working for me, then I will change the way I work my rotation. So, but that's why. So I wouldn't say this is an unexpected finish. I would say it's probably about right for what I'd expect. My next finish, oh, sorry I keep going out of shot, is the Bride. So as you know, this was, for the past 2 years, this has been my wine and whip. It's going to catch every light going. You can see computer monitor and yeah, there's not a lot I can do about that. So anyway, yeah, this is the Bride. I'm happy with it. The frame is not great. I mean, I think it suits the piece. I can't turn it off because it will just, I think, or maybe there. I think it suits the piece, but it'll have to be at an angle. It's very light and flimsy, but actually, do you know what? It's probably better framed, even if it's temporarily framed in this. It's probably, to me, better protected than being rolled up and put somewhere else, particularly at the moment where I'm decorating and things. So, because you never know what's going to get near it. But yeah, so this is, just as a recap, this is the Bride by Lavender and Lace. It's stitched exactly as the colourways request, and I've stitched it on 16 count rustico, I believe, or oatmeal it's also called. So it's got little brown flecks in it as well. My stomach. But yeah, so it's got little brown flecks in it as well. But yeah, so that's it really. It's I'm pleased with it, and it's got a mount around it as well. So to me, it's probably better protected in that, at least temporarily. Then if I find a frame that I adore and want to swap it out for, I will do that later. So going back to past finishes, I did say to some of you that I would, as I'm going through certain, I might let that go off just in case, like the glare. As I'm going, like decorating and stuff, as I'm going through the house, I would show you any stitchy stuff that I've got hanging on the wall, which isn't loads, there's not an immense amount, but just to give you an idea of what was in my dining room at that chosen time. This is one that you would have seen recently. This was an unexpected finish this year, if I'm honest about it. And this was the Cuore batticuore Summer Garden with my squished bow. This sadly has got to come down now and come away. But yes, I finished this into a wall hanging in very neutral colours. And the only changes that I made, this is exactly as charted. The only changes that I made is that I changed the font. No surprise there. I changed the font and translated the flowers into English, although it actually says Summer Garden in Italian at the top. And you can see it more in person than you can on the camera in this occasion. But yeah, so that's my summer garden, but that will sadly come down now. I haven't stitched any of the others to replace it, like there's a winter garden, an autumn garden and a spring garden, and I haven't stitched any of those yet, but I plan to do that as some new starts next year hopefully, so that'll be good, so that eventually I'll have one of those up throughout the year when all of those 4 are finished. And then my next one is a bit of a blast from the past. If you've been following me for about 2 or 3 years on Flosstube, I don't encourage you to go back and watch my early videos. They're pretty horrendous. But yes, if you've been watching me, then you would have seen this before. But for those of you that have just been seen me, following me more recently, then you would not have seen this one. So I'm going to have to go right out. It is quite big. So this one I did get professionally framed, yeah, purely because of its size. Yeah. So this is quite heavy. Is the Dragon Quaker sampler. That's too heavy to do that too. By Sticky Dean von Weinberg. McKenna's Stitch Lion recently. This is the Dragon Quaker. I don't know if you can see all the little dust particles. It's not good housekeeping, is it? But yeah, so yeah, this is the Dragon Quaker. This was actually, it kind of tells you something about my personality. This was actually the first piece that I ever stitched on even weave. Everything before that was Aida. It is also the reason that the bride didn't get finished not as quickly as it would normally, because the bride, whereas I was a one project person, I was so intrigued about starting even weave and giving it a go that when I started this I fell in love with it and I didn't put it down. And that's why the bride became a UFO really, and took a time to finish. But I still just worked on this piece. This took me about 3 months, I believe. I'm not sure. I didn't keep notes like I do now. And yes, it is a very big piece. As a new, I have never stitched on even weave, let's do something massive piece. I wouldn't necessarily recommend that. However, this is 28 count. It is an even weave. Plus, actually, there's not, because of the Quaker style, they're blocks of colour. So actually, in that sense, not necessarily maybe as big as this, but in that sense, Quakers are great for, or monochromatic are great, because all you've got to worry about is counting. You haven't also got to worry about loads of colour changes or anything like that. If you didn't only ever worked on Aida and was considering going to try and linen or even weave, I predominantly now work on linen. I prefer linen, but I think I needed that step, and you need to try things because you don't know, everybody's different anyway. But I think I needed that step to even weave, knowing that it was all even, to then move to linen and be able to deal with the slubs and things and be okay with it. But I mean, it is each to their own. You have to do what you're comfortable with. But yes, so this was my, I'll give you a quick, I know it's, I can have a quick flash. But yeah, so the Dragon Quaker. And like I said, I got this professionally framed because I was so proud of myself. Oh God, that's it. Oh. That's my workout for the day. Just had a panic that was the pictures, but it's not. Yeah, so it's the glass that makes them so heavy. As obviously sometimes it's the frame, but it's and on this occasion I notice it's the glass that makes that so heavy. And I picked a very whitewashed wood effect, being Quaker. I wanted that, and that hangs in my dining room. So sorry, hold on. What's the matter? What? You gonna come say hi? You don't normally say hi. No. Does. This is Mr. Darcy. He's the one that makes all the noise, aren't you? And just like, you just like being touched, really, don't you? All the time. All the time. You'll need my stitching, and you know that's a no, don't you? How do we feel about that? Okay. Can I put you down now? Thanks. I'm going to leave him on my lap. But you may hear like a back purr noise. Like a background purr. Yes, so that is where I'm at. I'm watching the time because I try not to make too longer videos, but I think that's about right. So that was my Dragon Quaker. As I said, anything that I've discussed I will put in the description box down below. Of course, ask me any questions that you want to know. My plans for September, as I said, it's the ABC sale, so with Stitch Mania. So my plan is to use creation as the focus piece for that because it has letters in it. Of course, I'm actually away for the first 2 weeks as well, so in September, and so therefore I won't be really focusing on that. My plan of action will be to take the small ornament for that month with me and just stitch on that while we're away if we get time. In regards to my design, Oranges and Lemons, that's coming along really nicely. I am, just to let you all know, I have charted, or nearly charted, the last 2 bells. So that's Stepney and Bow, and I will be adding them to the design, overall design as well. So I just literally have to finish charting Bow and then stitch Stepney and Bow. I've stitched the rest and finished that, and then I'm hoping to publish the pattern at the end of September, possibly mid-September, at the end of September. I'm still just finalising a couple of details and obviously the embellishments. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank everybody for their encouragement and their support. I was really overwhelmed, but in a really positive way, and so thankful to you all for your kind words and your support. And I will certainly be letting you know where I'm at. I will probably do, my plan of action is to do a little snippet video at another time, which will give you information on where to find information in regards to this design and any other designs that I will be coming out with in the future, purely because I've done this channel in this sort of formatish way, where I appreciate other designers, I appreciate other floss tubers and this sort of thing, and I kind of want to keep it more to do with that. And of course I will incorporate any other stitching that I've done, because that will account for what I've done as a record of my time, but I don't really want to keep it as a promotional thing for me. So what I'm going to do is that I will do that as a separate video, so that therefore people can opt in or out as they see fit. So I also haven't forgotten about the possibly doing a video on some of my stash. It's strategically lighting, as you can tell, can be a bit of an issue in regards to our fabulous British weather, which we manage to often squeeze all in one day. It's quite amazing. 4 seasons in one day. We can do it. It's like a test, but we can pull it off normally, Britain. So yeah, so for that reason, it would be at the right time, right timings and that sort of thing, that I would get that done. So I'm nearly at 40 minutes, a little bit over than what I wanted, but I thank you all wholeheartedly for your encouragement, your support. It means so much to me, it really, really does. And I wish you all safe, and especially those that are dealing with personal issues, as well as natural disasters as well. I wish you all safe, and I wish you all a happy September. Take care guys, and happy stitching. Bye bye.